Well, happy Tuesday, Central. Glad to be with you. My name is Ben Carruthers. I'm the Director of Student Ministries at Central. And today, this is the Tuesday edition of the Staff Devotion, the Dailies. So, glad to be with you. I was supposed to be with you last night for prayers, but I had some technical difficulties. Couldn't get things to work. And unfortunately, my tech-savvy children weren't home to help. So, Anna saved the day. Anna, nice job last night. That was awesome. Thanks for sharing that prayer time with us. But I'm excited to be with you this morning, or today I should say, because I had something incredibly cool happen last night that I was dying to share with you, and so I'm glad I got the opportunity to do that today. Last night, when we went to bed, we put the kids down, put the little guys down around 8 o'clock, 8:30. So Arlo and Ezra go down around then. And Ezzy, our 1.5-year-old, has been cutting teeth. And when he cuts teeth, he cuts them bad. He really goes in a lot of pain. He doesn't sleep well, and all he wants is mommy. He yells for mommy all the time. And so last night was like what it's been for the past week. He was hard time going down, just not wanting anything to do but with mommy. And so my wife had to be in there for quite a while, a good hour or so, just rocking him, putting him to sleep. Finally, he goes to sleep. Finally, Mom and I get to go to sleep. Well, around 12:30, we wake up to Ezzy crying, and he's wailing. I mean, just absolutely wailing. And Anna goes in there, and I'm in bed still, like the really helpful husband I am. And probably about a half hour, 45 minutes go by, and Ezzy is just unruly. He's screaming at the top of his lungs. I go to the room and see, and he's squirming all over the place and fighting my wife. And my poor wife has been in there for hours now, and it's brought her to tears. And so I just said, Anna, go back to bed. I'll take care of it. What am I? I'm going to come in there. I'm like, I got this. All right, you go to bed. I'll take care of this. I'll be sleeping in no time. I go in there, and it's a good 30 minutes of wrestling with a 1.5-year-old. And I'm not kidding. My kid, this Ezra, he's going to be a tough boy because I had a hard time wrangling him down. This kid's got some muscles on him, all right? Don't let his little height fool you. He's packed, all right? And he just was squirming, and so much so, like, I thought he was going to get hurt. And screaming to the top of his lungs. And finally I decided I'm just going to pray, right? Should have been probably the first thing I did, but it wasn't because I was so irritated. I was so upset. All of the emotions I shouldn't be feeling as a dad, but that's what I was feeling, to be honest with you. That it's, at this point, it's 1:30 in the morning. My wife hasn't gotten any sleep. I've gotten a little bit of sleep, but I feel bad about it because Anna hasn't gotten any sleep. And it's just go to bed already, right? Just go to sleep. And I started praying. And I started asking God to send His spirit of comfort into the room. I asked God to send His spirit of peace and healing into my son Ezra. And it was really cool because at that, and I also asked just to have I said, God, if there's any negative things in this room, just send them away. Just fill it with good things. And why I said that was because I had negative thoughts. Because I was feeling things like frustration with my 1.5-year-old kid who's just trying to tell me how he feels in the only way that he can. And I was feeling frustration, so I wanted God to take that out of the room too. And something really cool happened. One, as he started to calm down. As he started to be more comforted by the rocking. And then I sang to him, which I don't do because I don't have a singing voice. It's awful, so I don't sing, but I sing to my kid. And the song that I sang was the blessing song from Central. And believe it or not, after I sang that a couple times, he fell asleep. And what happened next was even cooler, was I had this moment of just complete release of all the negative feelings, the negative thoughts that I had been having. And it was just filled with the remembrance of that this is my kid that God has blessed me with. And I love him to death. I will do anything for this kid. And it was just moments of, even if he was going to cry till 3, 4, 5 in the morning, if he was going to squirm and kick till 3, 4, 5 in the morning, it didn't matter because this was my son. And he is a blessing to have. Now, I wish I could tell you that from that point on, everything went swimmingly and everything went cool and as he went right back to sleep. But guess what? It didn't happen. After about 5-10 minutes of him sleeping and me singing the song, he went right back to being awake. Not as unruly, not as kicking and screaming, but I was still very much annoyed at the situation. And I came away from that with a couple thoughts. That's what I want to share with you today. Is that even though the world around us is kind of what I was going through with Ezzy, just unknowing what's going on, and you feel like you can't do anything about it. And you hear from pastors and you hear from just people saying, just give it over to God, give it over to God, and you do. But often when that happens, it isn't gone completely. Right? It's not gone. We don't wake up this morning and we're out of, the shelter in place thing has been lifted. Businesses are open. People have their jobs back. It's not just happening right now like that. But what God does do, and what he did last night for me and my wife, was he gave us a moment. And in that moment, I had clarity of my job and my responsibility as a father and the blessing that it is to be Ezzy's dad. And even when Ezra came back to being his wild, crazy, crying self, all the frustration that I was feeling before had gone. I was literally a completely different person. I was filled with joy, even though we weren't sleeping, even though we were tired. I was filled with joy because God gave me a moment. And sometimes that's all we need to get through this crazy life that we're going through right now, is just that moment. Just time to remember the true blessings that are in our life that God is continuing to give us. Just that moment where God shows up in a big way and says, I'm still here and I'm still in control. So my prayer for you today is that you have a moment. I think some of you guys will be really lucky and very fortunate to have many moments, but maybe just one moment of clarity with God to see the bigger picture of what's going on in your life. I was very blessed last night to have that, and I pray that you can as well today. Thanks, Central, and I look forward to catching you soon. Take care.